What's up, everybody? Excited to be here today. We're going to be talking with Kaisir. He's interested in private label stuff.
That's right. That's right. So I've been following Jack's YouTube channel for a short period of time, and he comes across as a very, genuine person. And I took a look at his course, even though I still haven't, I'm still researching, um, but I'm trying to get my hands and my feet wet into what drop shipping is and the world of of fulfillment. And
Arbitrage.
but for the longest time, I've been trying to create my own product, and my basic questions are: what type of tools do I need? What's involved in the research process? I obviously know that anything regarding private labeling is going to cost you an arm and a leg. And so I wanted to get my finances. I mean, I do have questions about how to, I guess, manage your finances once you get a prototype going. And if you have anything to add as far as like the any available blueprints out there, that would be great.
Yeah, so first off, just for the audience sake, if any of you guys know good places to find information on private labeling, then comment. And also, is there some contact information you want to share so people can reach out to you?
Um, yeah,
You
sure.
don't have to, but I strongly
I
encourage you
don't
to. It's
really
really
have
useful.
anything yet. Yeah, so but we'll do a follow-up interview of my progress, and then I'll drop the nugget there.
Oh no, I mean like because you need more information about private labeling. People listening to this
Mhm.
call right now, not right
Yeah.
now, but once it's published, have access to that information. So you need to give them a way to contact you so that they can
Okay.
tell you like, okay, check this course out or check this website out, follow this
Oh,
channel,
awesome.
that kind of
All
thing.
right. Yeah, so you guys can reach me in my personal email. An email is fine.
Yep. If you say it
Yeah.
now, I'll also put it in the description so when they're watching
Okay.
it, they'll have access to it.
Awesome. Awesome. It's the letter I, the letter M as in Mary, and my first name Kaisir. My last name is HSU at gmail.com. IMKAISIRHSU at gmail.com.
Awesome. And so,
Thank you.
so real quick, I want to just share what I know about
Yeah.
private labeling, because
Awesome.
there's one thing that you said that I don't think you have to worry about too much, and that's that it's really expensive. Because
Hmm.
like getting a brand of like an actual physical product, that is absolutely that yeah, that's expensive. But the reality is maybe you don't have to start there. Private labeling is really broad, and like even making t-shirts is a form of private labeling. There are services that you can use where literally all that you do is just upload a design, and then that design is printed onto a product and then shipped. Like that, you can do that without having like relationships with the people. There's a lot that you can work with now without having to invest a whole lot of capital into it. um, and I know that there's a lot of different things that can be done. The problem is I personally don't have any experience with private labeling, but we
Okay.
can leverage the audience in order to connect you with people who do, and then also trying to see if there's anything like what you're interested in. You mentioned interest in getting the my eBay course.
Yeah.
That course has absolutely nothing to do with private labeling, really. I mean, it's all about drop shipping, right? So I'm curious, like, why are you interested in the course and you want to do private labeling? Like, what else are you interested in? Can you explain more about your perspective?
That's the end game for me.
Private
Private
labeling is the end
labeling
game.
is the end game.
Gotcha.
And I'm willing to start small and then scale up. But before I do any of that, I still need to understand how the basics. You know, I feel like I need to start from your course, because I've followed, you know, I've seen the Shopify model, I've seen the advantages of the FBA model, and just recently I watched an interview of someone, I forget what his name was, but he was strongly advocating for for beginners to start uh, through eBay, obviously because traffic is an issue for a lot of beginners.
Yeah.
And so I'm currently studying how to market products, but obviously there's a learning curve, and I want to start as fast as possible, and I want to fail as fast as possible so I can get
Learn all
better
those
at it.
lessons.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's just scale back down and talk about what your expertise is, which is eBay dropshipping. You mentioned that your course just gives us the general idea of how to of what it entails, what that lifestyle is about.
Hmm.
Um, but I'm I'm more interested in developing a sustainable, uh, I guess, drop shipping model so that I could teach someone else who's in my family, and I've got cousins and that and even my own, my next of kin, who um, could use your knowledge.
Hmm. So
Yeah.
with dropshipping is something that can be monetized, but ultimately dropshipping itself isn't the useful part of a successful dropshipping business. The useful part is the team of virtual assistants. Having virtual assistants is absolutely critical. Especially like dropshipping gets more and more competitive just because inevitably more and more people access the opportunity over time, right? So
Right.
it becomes increasingly true that in order for your business to stay more viable in the long run, you need to have good access to software and good access to virtual assistants. These two things are really, really, really important. It's not like there's just one way to make a profitable dropshipping business. There's not like one right way. There's a lot of different ways you can go about it, but ultimately those two things play a huge, huge role. And I think that this is so true now that imagine you were to get into dropshipping, learn about dropshipping, and then learn about virtual assistants. I think that you would be further behind than if you just worked on establishing a relationship with a virtual assistant and then finding ways to use that in your life and focusing on that relationship with the virtual assistant. Because that is the thing that allows you to be more profitable, because you can stop being like for me personally with dropshipping, there's a lot of tasks that you can monetize, but they're really, really mundane and boring, like really boring. And that was always an obstacle for me. And ultimately, like what I did with dropshipping is I make money off of dropshipping information and off of my YouTube channel. I don't my eBay account just got banned recently. Like I don't actively dropship at the moment anymore. But there's a lot of reasons for that. And ultimately, I felt that like I do things that are really thrilling and that I like and that I enjoy. I wasn't able to get virtual assistants into dropshipping in the beginning. And that really held me back. Now I have virtual assistants and I use virtual assistants to work on other branches of my life. And I consider that the golden nugget of dropshipping. Like if you can have a good virtual assistant or a team of virtual assistants, then everything that you do is more profitable. Not just dropshipping, the private label stuff, because then you can just like, anytime you need to do research, you just make a system, teach it to a VA, they do it for you. Like you can move on to other things, right? It's absolutely critical to focus on virtual assistants.
Yeah, now that you mention virtual assistants, that's not primarily what other people are suggesting from the start, but it's very interesting that you say that, because more and more SOPs or standard operating procedures are necessary. Uh, to be able to, I guess, a lot of coaches and public speakers, what they do is they record themselves and then they use this and package it in such a way that it almost you can make money while you sleep. And this is not the exact model, but it's almost kind of like the same formula. Am I getting to the root of what you were saying?
Yeah, yeah, you definitely like your time is really, really valuable. And what a
Right.
lot of people do, it's like you can absolutely earn a full-time income dropshipping. That's not like
Mhm.
unobtainable or whatever. The problem is like, okay, if you want to dropship, that means that you don't want to do whatever other work you have access to, right? So
Right.
what's the point from my perspective, what's the point of replacing a full-time job with another full-time job?
Absolutely.
Like
Absolutely.
you want to like anytime you're doing a task, you're doing it so that you can learn to make it more efficient and then to automate it. That's the life cycle of all tasks and all time that you spend. And you want to get to a point where you have so regularly been doing things that earn you money in the future that like you could stop doing what you're doing and you'd be set for a while, right? Like obviously you wouldn't actually stop, but there's this like it's incredibly competitive to try and spend your time and get the money now. That is the most competitive thing with humanity. Most humans want to be able to work a job and get that check now. So
Right.
if you can learn to do work that gets you paid a year from now or 2 years from now, then that opens up one. There's way less competition, so you inevitably like it's harder at first, but you get to a point where it's like it's easy to make the money, right? And some examples of this,
Yeah.
YouTube is a really good example of this because you can make one YouTube video, right? And
Yeah.
in my case, there was one YouTube video where I mentioned that I used Kabbage business loans and it had an affiliate link,
Right.
and one person took 2 loans out, and I got $600 from this 5-minute video that I recorded on a whim like 8 months ago. And it's
Mhm.
like you wanna have so many of those scenarios that like you don't necessarily know
Need to drop.
exactly where things are coming from, but
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about it, and you can focus on spending all of your time on the thing that is most relevant to your development.
Gotcha. Gotcha. What like what ballpark figure are we looking at in terms of budgeting this startup?
Depends how you start. Technically, you don't like if you start with drop shipping in eBay and you're patient,
Yeah.
you could get cash flow established without ever really having to invest money into it. Um, Especially now, like now there's so many different tools available and things are much cheaper. They're more efficient. The software scene's more competitive, so you just have better options. It's easier to have stores run smoother. Um, like if say that you plan on losing $100 a month,
Mm-hmm.
if you did it right, like you wouldn't really. Maybe a month or two you spend that, but that's the kind of the great thing about eBay and drop shipping is that like the only problem is the cash flow because of PayPal jail. But if you just have patience, then that's only a problem for 90 days. And it's only a
Cool.
problem online because people are impatient. The reality is, what if 90 days ago you had started the process so that you can start drop shipping today
Yeah.
with instant money? You'd be fine. So like it's really really not that. It's great to
So,
establish cash flow, and from that point,
yeah.
then you can use that to get into bigger things.
So you did mention PayPal's. Yeah, and this is something that people are concerned. Is there another way of, I guess, while you're doing PayPal or you're using PayPal, is there another third-party provider
Sort
that
of.
you can?
It's complicated because like eBay is in the middle, okay, in the beginning initial stages of transitioning away from PayPal. the reality is that the vast majority of people still use PayPal. So like if you
right.
place listings on eBay,
Yeah, they're
and they
gonna
don't offer
automatically.
PayPal, then yeah, it's great, but most people don't use it yet.
They
They
won't
are
use it.
like there is a program on eBay right now that is
Mhm.
rolling out the alternative payment system, which is Aiden, to
Mhm.
select people, but I don't know
Mhm.
too much about that experience.
Gotcha. Okay. And so if I wanted to, like, what would be a great way? Let's say we just end this call right now. What are the steps that I need to take? Um, to get to that spot? Like, do I just go to Upwork and freelance and then just start fishing for these VAs?
It would be best to find them somewhere else, like through
Somewhere else.
Facebook or
Fiverr?
through like
Oh,
YouTube
Facebook.
videos. Ideally, like you want a VA who's educating themselves about the scene that you're into. You you want a VA who will follow instructions. You don't want a VA who has buttloads of experience and is gonna like make decisions without talking to you because they're expensive and they're prone to like ego problems. Like I really think that you should just find a VA, pay them well, and just train them. It's definitely easier that way because
Yeah.
most of these people like you have an opportunity to provide somebody with stability, um,
Right.
if you play your cards right, and they're going to be very appreciative of that. And if you're working with these platforms, you're going to get a more kind of mechanical and less personal relationship with the VA. And you can still use those platforms to find a VA, but don't be surprised if you have to go through 3 or 4 before you find a good one. And then you're going to be paying the platform because the platform takes like you can assume like 10% of payments. So effectively, you could be paying your VA 10% more for the same amount of work, you know? So it's just things to keep in mind. With virtual assistants, the big thing is that it feels like it's a whole bunch of work and that it's like really stressful to train somebody and there's so many variables. But the reality is you just got to get in touch with somebody and start recording some videos and have them do some stuff. That's going to be like even if the task that you have them do doesn't actually matter, like that is going to teach you about the VA. You're going to see if they follow instructions. It's like it doesn't even have to be a useful task. You're just kind of just getting experience working with the
Yeah.
virtual assistant. And then
So
also,
you're
like anybody listening, you might get people who contact you because of this video because they know that you mentioned virtual assistants. And that one thing to keep in mind is it's very beneficial to have a VA who is actively engaged in the scene that you're working in. Like both of the people that I work with, virtual assistant wise, pay attention to dropshipping as an industry. Like they watch videos about it. Like they watch other YouTubers' videos. And that inherently makes them more educated and more interested. And that reflects on their work.
okay. So for someone like me that has zero experience, what is my first step coming in? Just watching YouTube videos and then recording myself and then training these VAs to do it and then
Yeah, like you might want to get a course or something cheap to just educate yourself about it or watch more YouTube videos about like drop shipping so you can start
yeah,
to think, okay, knowing that my focus should be on using virtual assistants, knowing that this is what these people are telling me about the business model. Okay, that may be something I could have them do. This is what I need to
yeah.
do. That you just want to like knowing that virtual assistants is the core. Now
Yeah.
you want to expose yourself to a lot of information, and then you'll develop an interest in a specific strategy or a specific tool, and you'll grow fond of it, and then it'll progress from there.
Okay. Which courses do you typically recommend? I mean, I was gonna take a stab at yours first, first and foremost, um, and perhaps Paul's. Would you recommend that as
Yeah,
as a starting point?
polls is good. The problem with courses is that like you're paying
They're
for
outdated.
convenience, and yeah, sometimes they're. I mean, a lot of content can be outdated, but
Yeah,
that's not really the. There's. I think that you can get all the information that you need on YouTube for free, like not you don't even need to buy my course. Um, that being said, there are courses that you could spend between like 20 and like a couple $100 on that are useful.
yeah.
Because
Like you,
even even though the information is free, the act of spending money changes your psychology with it. So you're going
yeah,
to be more likely to engage with the content if you've given something up for it.
absolutely.
Um, so that extends to a certain point, but then understand that there is a whole corrupt scene of people charging like loads of money for information that like just isn't it's not worth thousands of dollars. Like absolutely
Yeah,
not. Like to give you
right,
some perspective, my mother and her boyfriend got into a program like that for Amazon FBA, and it was
right.
$40,000.
Kidding.
40 grand.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Isn't that
Stupid.
insane? Like
Yeah,
that's
40 grand.
mind-boggling.
Yeah,
And so that's an extreme example, but from my
yeah,
perspective, you should never pay more than like $500 for a course. And the only
right.
reason you could pay that much isn't because the information itself is worth the money, but because of the psychological effect to make you actually do it.
I
I
understand.
I don't think that like there's reasons that like I sell the course at $20 so that I can have some income and some stability, but really what I want is access to information. That's really, really important. Um, and I don't think there's like a best course. There are a lot of good courses out there. So it's
Yeah.
really more about like becoming aware of the industry and who the players are and what their reputations are, and then exposing yourself to as much of it as possible. It's really important.
Okay. And would you say that a good starting point would be eBay or Shopify
eBay is better than
or
Shopify.
okay.
Shopify is like, so you can earn more money from Shopify, I think, if you do it properly. The problem, though, is that it's not so much about earning money in the beginning. Like, obviously, that's why people want to do it, but the reality is it's about, like, maintaining their interest in doing it, right? So eBay provides you an interesting opportunity because you have to start smaller because of account limits and that kind of thing. But you are able to usually get some sales to show you proof of concept. And that will continuously happen, and that motivates you to like, okay, this is kind of working, and what can I improve? What can I work on? You get something to work with. Whereas with Shopify, it's much, much, much more common for you to take a course, be shown how to set up a store, spend hours, like 30, 40, 50 hours making a website, and then you have to spend $100 to get like $90 profit worth of sales from traffic or something. Like that's a really common experience with Shopify. And you have to like, you made this engine, but because you don't have the understanding of traffic and experience necessary to understand why the store like could be profitable, you have to keep pumping money into it to get you the experience. Whereas with eBay, it's much easier to just keep getting the experience. It's definitely, eBay is the best starting point for like online stuff.
And so like Shopify, I assume that eBay has its own how to drop ship through eBay sort of 101, right?
Sort of. So eBay doesn't like drop shipping. It allows drop shipping, and it likes traditional drop shipping, which is, so there's retail arbitrage or modern drop shipping and traditional drop shipping. Traditional drop shipping is when you go to somebody and you're like, hey, I'm a seller, I want to buy your stuff, I'm going to send you orders, and then you're going to fulfill them. And they're like, yeah, cool, this is the price we got, this is where you got to send the orders, all right, cool. You maintain an agreement before you sell stuff, right? Whereas with modern drop shipping or more like retail arbitrage, you just order shit from Amazon or Walmart and these other places. You don't need an agreement with them because anybody can ship stuff nowadays.
Right.
Yeah. Whereas before, like, you had to know the right people to get something shipped. Now it's just like an average person access. The problem with eBay is that there's a lot of people who get dropshipping accounts and they create bad experiences for the buyers. And one of the inherent flaws with dropshipping on eBay is that eBay punishes out-of-stock cancellations very harshly. So as a drop shipper, you can never admit that you're out of stock, especially in the beginning. You have to find ways to like flip the scenario so that instead of canceling it to out of stock, the buyer opens an item not received case or a return case, or the buyer messages you asking for you to cancel it. Like, you have to flip it. So basically, from the very beginning, you have to lie a little bit because you cannot be honest. That causes a whole bunch of sketchiness down the line. And if eBay were to just change that one thing, then it might be different. But the reality is it's not. The CEO doesn't like dropshippers. He's actively trying to shake dropshippers off of the platform. And dropshippers like to think that we represent a very large portion of the sales on eBay. As far as I understand, that's not actually true. Most of eBay's sales do come from like garage sellers and that kind of thing, and used products. But it is it's unlikely that dropshipping would get banned on eBay. But to think that there's like one strategy that's going to work now that's going to continue to work is really, really naive. It's a constantly changing scene, and you have to stay up to date on like what eBay's doing and what they're working towards if you want to maintain stability in the long run.
Okay. So maintaining stability in the long run. So would you say that it, you know, to get into eBay is less risky, but sustainability is, it's harder to attain
Yeah.
the more time.
Because it's so, for those two reasons you just said, like, anybody in the world can generate cash flow starting from nothing on eBay.
Yeah.
That inherently has a lot of complications. You know, it's very competitive. But the reality is that is an opportunity. The problem is that, like, people tend to, like, kind of get lucky in the beginning at certain points, and they don't understand that, like, they just got lucky about certain things, and they scale their lives expecting results, and that doesn't always happen. It's really common for people to look too closely at their sales and think that because they posted 100 items last month and they have like $1,000 in sales this month, that means that next month they'll post 200 items and have $2,000 in sales. It just doesn't work that way. The reality is, like, say that you post 100 items, you got lucky on a couple of them and they're in the right place, or maybe one of them sold 10 times and it accounts for $700 of that $1,000. So if it wasn't for that one item of that 1% of the items you posted, you would have 30% of all of your sales, right? It's very, very sporadic, and it's very easy to jump to conclusions about why things happen in the beginning because you haven't been doing it for a year. You don't remember the seasonality. Like, there's literally, if you had a perfectly stable e-commerce store, completely stable, with like, which is impossible, but imagine that you did, and it was only affected by seasonality, there would be times like in November where there's tons of sales, and then there would be times in like late December, like the last week of December, where there's very little sales. And that's just the reality, is that there's so many different variables that affect things. And it's very important that you take a step back, be patient, and expose yourself to as much as possible.
Okay. Talking about, you know, venturing towards that quarter 4, which is, you know, Halloween, Thanksgiving, the holidays. would you say that this is the right time to get in, obviously, before January?
There's no right or wrong time to get in.
There's no right or wrong?
No.
Okay.
You just got to get involved, get experience, and
Yeah.
every day you have to do something that advances your interest in this subject.
Right.
And if you fail to do something every day, then the change you want won't happen. But as long as you're working on it every day, maybe none of it works. Maybe you give up, but you then do something that works. It could just be a stepping stone. But the reality is you have to do something every single day and just keep doing that over and over and over again.
Have you met anyone that does all three at the same, or that juggle all three business models and then possibly drop something?
Yeah, a lot of the big YouTubers do that. They'll do like Amazon FBA, drop shipping, some kind of actual physical resale. Like once you get involved in that scene and you have a reputation, like it's so much easier to be profitable and earn money.
Gotcha. Where can I get a list of tools just to start? I guess.
I did a video recently. It's
okay.
I like go over 30 different drop shipping tools. 1 second. 30 drop shipping tools. I'm just looking for the link real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, detailed guide. Here we go. There's a 2-minute version of the video and a 52-minute version of the video.
So I just created this dope website.
Okay.
Here we go.
That's great. Lots of nuggets there, I bet.
All right, I just sent the link on Skype.
Okay, great. Thank you. So what are you working now? What are you working on now?
What am I working on?
Yeah.
I'm in a big turning point right now.
Yeah. Your last video was about what to do with your life, right?
Yeah. I
haven't watched it, but it was very intriguing.
I got very lucky, basically, because for a long time I was trading a lot of uncertainty for freedom. So I was just doing really reckless stuff with drop shipping on YouTube. I threw myself into a foreign country, wasn't around people I knew, that kind of thing. And these decisions were really important to my development, but at the same time, they have definitely taken a toll on me, emotionally.
Yeah.
And I see now that the eBay store getting banned is a big opportunity for me, because now I could shift my focus, because I've been wanting to get away from just drop shipping for a long time. Drop shipping isn't inherently fulfilling. I'm not making anyone's lives better by drop shipping. I could be helping people by showing them how to drop ship. That could improve their quality of life. But drop shipping itself is taking advantage of people. There's just people who don't understand that you can order shit on Amazon and Walmart. They just don't know, and they don't care. And so you can sell stuff to them more expensive just because of that ignorance, And you can word it differently, but that's the reality, is that the people don't research, and they don't care. And so from my opinion, because they don't care about it, it doesn't really matter that much. But it's easier to just get involved with something that I love and enjoy, right?
Yeah.
So what I'm doing now is trying to really focus on my life and me as an individual and what I'm good at and how I can contribute to others. And for me, the main thing is that I'm good at being encouraging and supportive and working with people and showing them a kind of a more open perspective. So I'm trying to find ways to focus on that. And that's been a recurring theme. That's why I do these kind of videos. I've been trying to have most of the videos on my channel be something to do with another individual. So maybe I'm doing it and talking every now and then, but most of the videos are a conversation with somebody, or somebody showing me something, or somebody talking about their life, that kind of thing, right? So one of the main things that I'm trying to figure out right now is how to set up a group that it would be a paid group. So it would be $50 a month, and then we'd meet every once a week for 2 hours, and I would focus on helping each person identify what the things they want to improve in their lives are, and giving them that access to that kind of energy and that enthusiasm. The problem is that I don't want it to be a dropshipping support group. Like, I don't mind there being information about dropshipping when it's relevant, and I'll absolutely share that, but I don't want to just have a group where they're like paying me to show them how to dropship. I need it to be more than that, about like them as people and community and all that. So I'm trying to navigate how to go about setting that up.
I bet. That's a very interesting turn of events, and it's almost apropos. You know, how long have you been doing this?
Dropshipping or eBay?
Yeah, dropshipping.
About 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah, and so for reference, the way I got banned would only happen to like somebody being experimental with bulk listing. The reality is that like I got in trouble for things that like aren't like fake counterfeit violations, right? So I wasn't selling a counterfeit product, but someone claimed I was. The reality is you have to get in trouble 4 times to get banned, right? So the only reason I got actually banned was because of the size of the store and the scale of it. That's not something that most people have to worry about. Oh, are you back? Oh, you're back. All right, cool. Sorry.
Yeah, no. All right, awesome, man. That's basically all I've got. I mean, I don't really have any other questions. But I do appreciate your time, Jack. And I fully support and endorse your what you want to do right now. I mean, that's very noble of you, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. If I've got anything now that I know what your intentions are, I will reach out.
Cool.
Okay. All right. Thanks for your time, buddy.
See you, man.
See ya.